today I have with me Andrew Cameron. So thank you very much for joining me. So where would you like to begin? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business first?
Sure. So, like I said, business name's Northumberland Properties. So we started building apartments in Yarmouth in 2010. My wife and I had moved back from overseas, and my dad said, thinking about doing this down in Yarmouth, would you like to come down and help? And I said, sure. So we went down and we started in Yarmouth, and we typically build like 4-unit apartment buildings for seniors. And so we built one building and said, let's build this and see how it goes. We built it and rented it. We said, oh, let's build another one. And we built another one. And we built it, rented it, and said, oh, let's build another one.
Right on.
And then we kind of kept going. And
so you found a groove.
We found a groove. And then we expanded back up here in 2012, and then switched in building more apartments up here in 2014, 2015.
Okay.
And we kept building apartments since then. Now we have 7 people that work with us to look after all the tenants.
Nice.
We have about 180 apartments between Amherst and Yarmouth, and we build about, between the 2 locations, we're still building.
Good.
And so we probably build somewhere between 20 and 24 apartments each year.
Wow, that's incredible. So between the 2 locations?
Yeah, between the 2 locations.
Wow. And you guys are building a new space for yourselves currently?
Yep.
So where's that going to be?
So we're building ourselves a new office down on Palmer Street.
Okay.
So which is down by Rob's,
Yep.
the corner of Palmer and LaPlanche Street.
If anybody's noticed so far, it's like that dark kind of charcoal gray building. Yep.
Yeah. So that's us. So we have our new office space on the main floor.
Nice.
And then we have 3 apartments upstairs.
Great.
And so the apartments, maybe a little bit biased, the apartments are beautiful.
I bet they are.
We'll get some pictures up because they'll be ready for the end of January, and the apartments will be available to rent for the 1st of February.
Okay, so they're not spoken for yet?
No, not yet.
Right
not yet. And they just have beautiful views out over the marsh.
Yeah, no doubt.
Out over LaPlanche Street.
Yeah.
You can kind of see everything that's coming and going.
Right on. And are they 2-bedroom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the apartments are 2 bedrooms, and they're about $1,050 per month. That includes heat, lights, hot water.
Oh, that's sweet. That's a great deal.
Yeah.
Lights and everything.
Yeah.
Wow, that's rare.
And they're about 850, 860 square feet.
Okay.
2 bedrooms, 5 appliances, fridge, stove, dishwasher, washer and dryer, full-size kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really sweet deal, actually.
Yeah, I think
wow.
so.
That's
They're
awesome.
Nice new apartments downtown.
Great.
You know?
Yeah, stay tuned, folks, because that'll be a great opportunity for some people.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really good deal. Okay, awesome. So you guys are successful. You're doing well. You're growing. You're thriving.
Yeah.
You're expanding as you go.
Yes. Yeah.
And what has been your experience with the overall business community here in this area? And we can talk about Yarmouth too, although our focus for the show is mostly Cumberland.
Yeah. I think Amherst and Yarmouth are similar. Like, they're similar communities and similar economic situations. Yarmouth has the benefit of the lobster industry.
Right.
So when that goes well, things take off down there.
Right.
Which we don't have the benefit of.
We don't have like a seasonal boost.
No, exactly. The flip side of that, though, is when the lobster industry isn't going well in Yarmouth.
Right.
It's
the thing that people often rely on isn't there, and
So I think it was kind of talking about the business community in Amherst. I listened to the first show where you were talking to your dad, and I kind of had to laugh. He was talking about, Amherst was a thriving business community. And you're like, okay, so when? And he goes, well, the 50s. And
right.
I went,
wait a second.
Wait a minute.
That's a really long time ago.
That's a long time ago. And my sort of take on the business community, one of the mantras I've had for myself is like, I find business is such just solving one problem after another. Like, and you just keep going, and something comes up, you solve it, you move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And so for myself, one of the mantras has always been, okay, here we are. Now what do we do?
Yeah.
And that's my take on the Amherst business community.
Okay.
Here we are. This is what it is. It's not, if we approach the Amherst business community thinking, oh, well, it's not the Halifax market.
Well, we're
not going to be.
No, exactly.
We're not. We're not the Moncton market.
Yeah.
We're Amherst.
And we were just talking before we put the mics on a minute ago, and you were relating that to like the weather. Like it's only bad. It's cold. Either way, it's cold. It's really bad if you are walking around in shorts, but if you're properly dressed, it's not so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I also attributed it to sort of the seasons. Like if it's winter and you go out and try to plant your garden, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Because it's not the time to do that.
Yeah.
If it's spring, you plant your garden, you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the business community in Amherst. It's not a booming market.
No.
And that's what it is. If you approach it and say, well, if only the market was booming, then I could get in and do the business. You're never going to do it, and you're never going to make it happen.
So I guess the question that's coming to me right now is, what do you mean by the market, quote unquote? So like when you say the market isn't booming, are you talking about like the national economic market, the global market, the local, like
I think
how do
more
you define
our
that?
Local market.
Okay.
In the Amherst area.
Okay.
So I come from the real estate market, so I'll talk about it in that context. Like you see the numbers in Halifax. Like house prices are up 10% this year.
Right.
Toronto, house prices have doubled.
Yeah.
Or whatever they are.
Yeah.
And in Amherst, you go, it's not going to happen.
No.
No.
In fact, I'm not in that market, but I get the sense that prices just are dropping. People aren't buying much here. Am I wrong?
I don't know a whole lot about like
Okay.
houses for sale and stuff like that, but if you buy a house and expect it to go up 10% next year, it's probably not going to happen.
Right.
And if that's your business, you're not going to succeed. You're going to have problems. If you buy a house and you plan for it to maybe increase in value 1%, 2%, that's realistic. And you can build a business on that.
So then what makes a market booming or not? Because I have some resistance to the idea, right? And this is why I almost put the mics on us earlier, because we were talking about this before. And I have some resistance to the idea of like, well, you know, it's cold, you just have to dress appropriately or whatever. And then the statement that, well, it's just not a booming market. Because I respect that greatly, because, you know, you have to roll with it. You have to figure it out. You have to solve the problems and go with it as you go. But it takes me to a broader question, which is, how do we make it a booming market?
Right.
Why isn't it a booming market? And has it really not been a booming market since the 50s? And if so, why not? And no, we don't want to be Halifax. We don't want to be Toronto. We are our own culture here. And I believe many of us who live here, who choose to live here, are here for that reason. And this show is not about solving the problems. It's about exploring the situation. And so why? What is your perspective on why we're not a booming market?
I think my first comment that, you know, this is just the way the market is can sound defeatist, and it's not.
No, I don't think it sounds defeatist. I think you could maybe interpret it that way, but I think it's more a matter, it sounds to me more of a matter of like, you know, you take control of your situation moment to moment, day to day, year to year.
Yeah.
But then what is the situation that we're dealing with? So
I think the situation is, and so many people talk about, I think, in the market that we have to attract more big businesses out to the industrial park. And we have to put all of our focus into that. And I think we have to try to do that.
That one doesn't sit with me.
No,
I mean, I think it's important, but there's no color, there's no life, there's no vibrance to that idea. That's just how I think.
Yeah. We have to do it ourselves.
Yes.
That's the thing. Things like I look around, like small businesses like what you and I are doing. You know, we employ 5 people like for ourselves in town.
Yeah.
That's 5 new jobs that weren't here 6 years ago.
And I dare say, for the people who do and have worked with me, they're interesting jobs. Like we're solving problems all the time, like you were saying. There's creativity, there's different skills are required, and same with the people who work with you. You know, it's dynamic and it's ongoing and moving.
Yes.
And I think that's the kind of work that's going to build a market.
I think so too. I think they all build on each other too, though. Like if we end up with more creative, smaller businesses, we can show that this can be done in Amherst.
Yes.
And we can do this in Amherst. And there can be other people from Amherst that want to come back and say, I can do that from there too. There's an example. I want that lifestyle from Amherst again. Yeah. You know, like for myself, I love my 3-minute commute to work. Yeah. Like, yes, that's it.
I agree.
You know, I always joke, like, if I need to be somewhere at 4 o'clock, I can leave my house at 4 o'clock and be there on time. Exactly. You know, there's no 45 minutes, there's no hour in traffic. Yeah. Like, that's just the lifestyle I want. My daughter goes to the child care center at the Y. Yeah. And if anybody listening knows where my office is, like, I just have to run across the parking lot behind me. Yeah. And that, you know, I mean, that's kind of exceptional in terms of proximity, but I mean, that's great. If I get a call, she's got a fever, I'm there. Yeah, exactly. You know, like, and I think that's a huge benefit to being in this community, in a small community. Yeah. And I think that's why I like your radio show, is to promote the people who are successful in town. And I made the comment that I think, and this will transition to something else that I want to talk about, is so often we think you have to leave Amherst to be considered a success. Yeah. Or if you want help on your business, or if you want help with something, you need to get somebody from Halifax to come here, because we don't have the expertise locally. And I think, no, that's not correct.
No.
We have a lot of expertise and a lot of successful people who are starting out and have been successful or historically have been successful. There is a lot of expertise in the business community that I don't know if gets shared that often.
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, when I was younger, I left here because I thought, Amherst. And it took me 20 years to get back and to want to be here.
Yeah.
And part of that was because I thought that it was just better somewhere else. And I think that...
And it could have been when you were 25.
Yeah, possibly. It's certainly for, like, when I left when I was 17, and certainly for a 17-year-old at that time, for me anyways, I had to go.
I was going to say very much for myself. Like, I made the comment to, I forget who I was talking to. I said, you know what, they had young kids, and I said, it's a pretty big if, but if you can solve for a good, challenging job that pays you what you need to survive, Amherst is a fantastic place to raise your children.
It is. And it's a fantastic place for those kids to then see that and to see us develop. Like, so where my office is, I can see out my window some buildings that I would love to refurbish, right?
Yes.
And actually, I have some ideas for real estate down the road. So maybe you and I can partner at some point. Anyways, and I think that some of that, and I know downtown and the town of Amherst, they've been working on, like, you know, the visual
facade improvement program through the chamber.
Absolutely.
Helped a lot.
And I think the more we keep business in town and the more we teach the young families and the kids growing up and show them the beauty, like, I think that's a big part of it, is bringing the beauty back. And again, people are already working really hard on that and doing a great job. I think part of the thing about expertise, so you said that people think we often need to get people in from Halifax or Toronto or, you know, larger cities to come in and teach us things or tell us things, and we don't have the expertise. But I think an important piece to our expertise is the fact that we are from here.
Yes.
The things you need in Halifax and Toronto are different than what we need here. And so people, they might have some technical expertise in different ways that we're perfectly capable of learning, but to translate that into our community doesn't necessarily flow smoothly because we are a unique culture here. And knowing that, I think, is a huge piece of expertise that we need to really remember about ourselves. It's like politically, a number of years ago, there was a candidate who was kind of parachuted in, and from, I think, Ontario or Quebec or something like that. And maybe that fella knew all kinds of stuff about politics and about whatever, but he didn't know the area. He didn't understand the people. And I think the same thing is in the business community. If we want to bring people in, well, it's tough because they don't know who we are. And we need to really respect our own understanding of who we are and celebrate that. I think.
It's a challenging one because we have to do that and push ourselves forward. Like
you can't just celebrate and go, yay, we're great. You have to keep going.
And it's the booming market, or the question on that, because one of the things I was thinking about was with people locally is I think it's also, we can forget what we have to offer ourselves.
Totally.
And so, like, I was thinking, there's Christy that you had on last week talking about
Christy Brown,
talking about her holistic training and her ability to help people in her challenge group on her Facebook. And I was thinking about it more and more, and I think she made the comment, well, you know, there's not people in Amherst that would pay for this.
And I actually may have made that comment kind of on her behalf, you know, kind of thing. I don't want to put any words in her mouth.
No, and I think, and the reason I say this is I know for myself, about a year and a half ago, so my daughter's 5 now, and so she's 3.5, and about a year and a half ago, I went, I'm not able to keep up with her. Like, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And I went, oh, you know what? I got to do something. I've got to eat better. I got to exercise. I got to do all this. And I said, I have the knowledge of what to do. I'm not doing it. And so I kind of went, you know what? If I was going to do this on my own, I would have done it by now. Because it's one of those things. Everybody knows you got to eat better. Everybody knows you got to exercise, but we don't. And I think that as a local community, one of the things to help us is really identify what products are we selling and like what are customers buying. So I started working with, there's Ryan Reynolds up Sculpt Health and up, he works out at Burbines gym. I started working with him, and 6 months in or whatever, I said to him, like, what I was buying from him wasn't health and nutrition advice. I was buying being able to run after my daughter, being able to play with my daughter, waking up and feeling better about myself. That's what I was buying.
And also, as I'm listening, it sounds like also you were buying the partnership with him. Because you need the relationship.
And the accountability.
Yeah.
And
which is part of the business network.
Yeah, exactly. And I found as I got